All right, hello again. We should be getting into this next series pretty quickly, but before we do, I'm just going to quickly go over the map picks. So the coin toss was won by Macro Machines. They banned away Garden of Terror and Cursed Hollow. And Bork Side of the Moon banned away Brax's Holdout and Battlefield of Eternity. Towers of Doom is going to be our first map, so going to be a pretty interesting series to play. And the other interesting thing about this is, if I'm not mistaken, Bork Side of the Moon, this is actually their second game. I believe this is the flex game for this week. So, or either that or their flex game was the previous one. I'm not even sure. It's hard to keep up when you're trying to cast across multiple divisions. But either way, they have played. They've played yesterday, and they did lose 2-0. So they are on the back foot a little bit here, but they definitely looked good in that 2-0. You know, there's 2-0s where you're completely crushed, and then there's 2-0s where it's an active fight. You just happen to lose both of them. And I think that's definitely what happened by Bork Side of the Moon. Now, both teams are getting ready, so it looks like we'll be heading into draft momentarily. It is going to be Towers of Doom, so it looks like it's going to be a similar map pick and to our first series of the day.
Towers of Doom.
All right, and we are here. We are ready. Towers of Doom between Macro Machines and Bork Side of the Moon. Now, one thing I definitely know about Bork Side of the Moon is they have a lot of players. Smoke currently in. It did look like they weren't sure if they wanted to play Smoke or ES Cypher earlier, but it is going to be Smoke playing. They have a lot of different players, and they're very versatile in terms of drafting and how they pick for it. Now, False Side, going to be the first ban coming out of Bork Side of the Moon. Aim towards Macro Machines for sure. And it is interesting seeing this because Hoku, obviously well known in the community. And then Dark Knight definitely picks up a lot of casts as well. Dark Knight is the unsung hero. Has definitely picked up a couple casts where no one else was able to. And just kind of made sure that more and more teams are able to get their matches commentated. And it definitely gets a little bit hard with the amount of caches we have and the amount of games that are scheduled. So very much appreciate the grind. But now Brightwing also going to get banned away by Macro Machines, and Zeratul instantly going to get matched by Bork Side of the Moon. The Haka is still available. Macro Machines could choose to ban it. But with Zeratul gone, I believe the two best picks here are Vikings, unironically really good. However, there's very few players that play it, especially in Div B. And also Leoric. Leoric, Dehaka, and the Vikings. With Zeratul gone. And it actually is going to be the Lost Vikings band. Vikings aren't good in every situation, but on Towers of Doom, they are really strong because the offlane is all about double soaking. You're not fighting for most of the game. You're just trying to outpush the enemy, get more XP for your team, more pressure. Maybe if you have a chance, you go push in, and it's hard to outpush someone who can be in both lanes at the same time. You are never missing soak there. Now Bacon going to lock in the Sylvanas. And that's going to be the first pick. Very strong on this map. Being able to take down the bell towers is very important. Going to have a lot of pressure with those towers gone. Now 2 picks are available for Macro Machines. Going to be their only 2 picks for this draft. And it's going to be the Vala Stukov for Arcane 13th and Saralath. 2 more picks still available for Bork Side of the Moon. And when you have the Sylvanas, you're not really committing to anything either. Sylvanas is just a powerful hero overall. Very versatile, can be played in basically any composition. It's just, you need damage in front of you. Sylvanas will always be able to provide that. But now ATD going to lock in the Anubarak. And Leoric going to get locked in for Smoke. And with the Leoric locked in, it does signal to me that they're going to have a lot of push in the offlane. Leoric is one of the best offlaners for this map especially. Able to move around the map very quickly with the Wraith Walk. And at the same time has a ton of clear speed, a ton of AoE, everything you want on this map. And then once those late game teamfights come through, Entomb, super powerful ability. Anduin gonna be the final ban for macro machines. The healer is definitely still missing a little bit for Bork Side of the Moon, so being able to get rid of that. And interestingly enough, now that I think about it, I have not been seeing like any Rhaegar. Rhaegar did get I believe 1, maybe even 2 rounds of nerfs in the last little while, which not surprising, has been kind of in the forefront of the healer, well, of all the healer role for quite a while. But definitely interesting to see how far he's kind of fallen from grace. Now, Mirrodin the Dwarf gonna get banned away by Bork Side of the Moon, and Sonya instantly locked in, and that's an interesting pick for Hoku, because Sonya is more of a fighter, definitely has slower clear speed compared to Leoric, and also a lot slower rotation speed. A Dark Knight gonna lock in the Chromie, so last pick, the 10th pick, is going to be a tank for macro machines. But the question is, who is it gonna be? And maybe they'll even do something like a double bruiser. I think it would be difficult because our team is quite squishy. Sonya, less of a tanky offlaner and more of a fighty offlaner, if that makes sense. Still has a pretty large health bar, though. Now, the final 2 picks for Bork Side of the Moon is going to be the Uther for Silver Spy and the Genji for Cutie Puppy. Now, the Genji definitely very good into Chromie and Vala, but I need to think about this pick for a little bit, because typically Genji is seen a lot. I think the idea for it is to get rid of Hoku, is to try and make the game as hard as possible for the Sonya. And Varian going to be the final pick. Interesting, actually, and that's probably why they got rid of the Anduin. The Leap of Faith is the strongest counter to Varian, and when you have the Stukov combo, it's very good. And I've been distracted like 3 times during this draft. I apologize for that. But the Genji's typically comboed with the Light Bomb. And on top of that is also typically used to get rid of backlane heroes when they don't have consistent auto attack damage. But Vala does, and Chromie, deceptively, is pretty strong with the auto attacks as well. But not going to delay any further. Let's get into game number 1 between Macro Machines and Bork Side of the Moon. Remember, some talent combinations are more effective on different battlegrounds. And Towers of Doom is definitely one of those maps. Because a big part of this game, especially on this map, is just having the soak done in the offlane. I cannot phrase this enough. While the core 4 in the bot side is definitely powerful and definitely can control the game, if you have an offlaner that's just able to push harder by virtue of, well, just the character being able to push harder, it can give a massive advantage. And if you have one of those talent breaks over towards the bot side, it becomes so difficult to play into it. Now, the picks are coming through. It is a variant on Ratson, so it is going to take a while, or at least until level 4, before the combo really comes into play. It's actually kind of interesting to think about that, because they're definitely weak level 1, but then level 2, the Chromie will get an extra talent. I don't know how much it's going to really matter, but it is something that'll help out a little bit. But now, there are going to be spreading immediately on the side of Bork Side of the Moon, not going to be grouping towards the mid lane like most teams opt to do. ATD just kind of trying to scout a Saralath and Ratson. Going to be able to spot him. The Cutie Puppy going to be jumping over as well. It is just the basic one. Burrow Charge going to get utilized, and the Impale, and Ratson going to take a lot of damage for that. ATD playing aggressively right off the bat. Now, there's going to be a bit of trading going on the top side. I believe this is a Leoric favored matchup too in terms of fighting, but they may be looking for that late game team fight pressure coming out from the Sonya, because the Leap is incredibly powerful, and that's definitely where they'll be able to bring it out. Now, the push definitely benefiting Bork Side of the Moon early on. Bacon grouping towards mid lane. Going to get hit by the Hungering Arrow, and it is the Puncturing Arrow, level 1 talent coming out from the Vala. We're going to be more of a burst hero. Not much more than usual. No, it's still gonna be very strong for just regular DPS. Now the time trap is there, but ATD not gonna proc it. The Impale lands on a 3, but ATD kind of in an interesting spot, but does have the Burrow Charge to get away. Cutie Puppy just trying to DPS over the top, but got a little bit too close to Saralath. And the Stukov has very powerful auto attack damage. Now the Hungering Arrow is still going to land on a Cutie Puppy. So even with the protection, only going to protect for the first instance of damage. It is the heaviest, but I believe the talent still comes through. Ratson gonna barely dodge away on the burrow charge. Will be okay though, as the pushing is coming through from both teams. And it's actually Smoke gonna get the solo kill. I saw the health bar disappearing on the top of my screen, but not able to jump there in time. And that's kind of the offlane matchup that does get scary. Smoke winning in the soak, winning in the 1v1 fight. Definitely not where you want to be as Hoku and as Macro Machines. However, they're still doing fine in the bot side. Level 4 is on the horizon for both these two teams. But Bork Side of the Moon gonna ding over to level 4 immediately. And they're gonna start pressuring with it. And in fact, ATD just gonna stun down Arcane 13. But the Hungering Arrows are stacking. 7 stacks by 2 minutes is really good. Cutie Puppy just going to dismount Ratson, but the taunt is here now. Level 4 has been hit. But unfortunately, the position just isn't there, and the siege camp is going to get stolen away. So these sappers, very difficult to prevent them. And in fact, the first few sappers have already landed, which actually gives them more time to deal with these ones. But the gate's still going to go down, and the cannon tower going to get hit quite heavily by it. And the final sapper's going to land as well. 5 out of 6 sappers dealing damage to this bot lane wall. And look at that XP lead because of it. That's mostly from the structures, but now Ratson tried to go in for the taunt, but the Impale was too fast. Cutie Puffy just got to be hitting on a Ratson. Will get taunted, but doesn't really care. Was in a very safe position.
Go forth and claim the altars in my name.
And now nothing's really happening too much quite yet. Arcane, the 13th, and Bacon just going to be trading a little bit. One altar going to get hit on the top, traded away by Hoku. Just kind of the standard trade, 4 for 4 damage for both these teams. The level 5 talent is going to be coming through. Mobius Loop. Now Ratson going to try to go in. No taunt available, but the burrow charge does have to be expended by ATD here. As they are fighting it out, the taunt does come through on a Silver Spine. Silver Spine getting taken out quite low, trying to heal up. And the Hungering Arrow is going to have more than enough damage, as the Macro Machines able to get themselves a kill. RK13th at 10 stacks already. And I should also mention that's 10 stacks into a Nubarak. It is so much harder to stack into that hero. 12 now. RK13th stacking all over the place. And that's 6 damage each. So that's already 72 bonus damage when the level 7s have only now started taking over. So the time trap gonna get utilized on a Cutie Puppy, but just there for the delay, as Hoku lost the entire top structures as well. Bacon moved up top just to take the sapper camp. Gonna be able to clear it. I do believe they have scouted it, so they will know what's happening. Arcane 13th is here as well. And in fact, they're going to be able to pressure them out, as Arcane 13th and Hoku going to take it for themselves. That's going to be a little bit of a consolation prize for Macro Machines. Or as I say that, consolation prize, they're the ones that are in the lead. But that's going to get them a little bit more pressure out in this offlane. Now ATD spawning the little scarabs, as they do try and crush this out. Ratson will land the taunt, and the taunt will land on a Cutie Puppy, but will have the protection and the cleanse coming out from Silver Spy. And that's kind of where the teamwork really comes into play, because with that combo, when you have someone with the cleanse, and Silver Spy does have the cleanse, it becomes very difficult to actually get on top of them. But the taunt has a shorter cooldown. The Impale once again will land, and the Unstoppable coming out with the burrow charge. Blowing Sand's going to be the talent of choice for Dark Knight, so that is going to be ready. And now Arcane 13th gonna land another Hungering Arrow, over at 13 stacks now. Has slowed down a little bit, but still in a very good spot. Now the taunt will land onto ATD, but the fight is coming through, and now they're able to land onto Arcane 13th, but with the vault, will be able to get to safety. The next altar is spawning in 5 seconds. Level 10's not hit by either of these two teams yet, so could definitely be a fight coming through. Now ATD's looking for the play. Ratson does jump in. Taunt is going to get utilized now. Dragon's Breath going to use over top, and Lurking Orb on so many people. And Arcane 13th just hitting on a Silver Spy, but Silver Spy will be able to get away to safety. Cutie Puppy going to jump over the wall as well. But the HP bar is definitely favoring Macro Machines here, as they're continuing to push. Hungering Arrow just bouncing all over them with the multi-shot as well. And the Dragon's Breath dealing so much damage to Silver Spy, and they're preventing them from going back either. So that's going to be another 4 damage with the altar for Macro Machines. And now it's 36-28, and they're going to be able to steal away the Sapper Camp. I don't think Bork Side of the Moon can really contest this. That's going to be a very fast play for them. Level 10s are on Bork Side of the Moon. They still have a full level advantage. Smoke was not in that fight and is just kind of shoving away this top side. So they trade a little bit of HP for that XP lead. And it's still almost a full level. Level 10s are going to be coming through most likely right after this camp if they're able to get it. But it looks like ATD doesn't want to give it to them. They do have the taunt. They have the silence. Lurking Arm and the Invulnerable are going to come through with the Divine Shield. Cutie Puppy just onto Dark Knight. And they do have the Cocoon over top. Ratson is trying to play. Cutie Puppy will get the kill over the backside. But now Ratson's still trying to survive. But the Impale lands on it too. And the Extendo Arm actually going to land on a Cutie Puppy. As Cutie Puppy will dash away and will be safe. And that's going to be a 2-for-0 and the camp stolen for Bork Side of the Moon using that level 10 timer. And now level 10 is there for Macro Machines, but unfortunately they've already lost their teammates. And Hoku was in the top side having to deal with the push that Smoke's been able to get for Bork Side of the Moon. Now they are down in health, but with this extra altar, it's going to get a lot easier for them to get the pressure, especially with the next altar being in the bot side. And if it is that 5 HP, it's going to make it a difference of just 3 health. Now Hoku's going to be interrupted, but Bacon actually doesn't have a lot of HP. But Dark Knight going to get hit by the slowing sands, but Bacon getting hit over the backside by Cutie Puppy. Going to get blown up, and they were just kind of being attacked on both sides. And Bork Side of the Moon are going to get caught out a little bit there. Now Smoke is here. Brain of Vengeance not going to land. Dragon's Breath is just going to do a little bit of poke damage to Silver Spine Bacon. And it is a little bit of a strange position to be in. Because they do have both forts over the bot side, but I don't think they can actually try fighting into this. What they can do, however, is Bacon's going to go trying to hit that top side. Now Smoke tries to use the Entomb, not going to land, as the altar will deal 3 damage. So it's going to be 36 to 25, and now they're trying to run back, but there is a fort there. They have a few members here. They're ready to defend into it. And now the Bro Charge actually going to utilized immediately. ATD still quite tanky. They have the taunt, but no Bro Charge or no Lurking Arm over top. Oku just spinning to winning. Cutie Puppy is now here. Lurking Arm now going to be coming out. But the Arcane 13th just throwing the Hungering Arrows. Time Trap is happening on ATD, and Arcane 13th just gets blown up, and the Divine Shield comes out to prevent Bacon from getting punished too hard for it. And incidentally, Bacon did finish off the fort on the top side. That is now part of Bork Side of the Moon. There's only 1 fort left on the side of Macro Machines, but they have an 11-point lead. So it's pretty interesting how, despite the map pressure, Macro Machines haven't been able to get themselves the points. But it's going to become a lot more difficult for them. And they're, in fact, going to overload mid lane and try to take this fort for themselves. You do get the occasional core damage when you have all 6 bell towers. But it doesn't look like they want to allow them to get all 6. They're fighting for the spot side. Arcane 13th going to take a couple shots from the bell tower. And not a single damage is going to go back to that core. And in fact, being able to get the pressure back in the bot fort is probably the most important lane they could get it in because of these siege camps. If you're able to have the pressure, if you're able to have both these forts, these siege camps are going to be used for core damage instead. Now ATD actually going to jump into Arcane 13. Got to get taunted. And look at the Unstoppable, the healing coming out from Silver Spy. But lots of DPS onto ATD. But the Sapper camp has been stolen. And the fort is available for damage now. It's no longer in its protected form. And ATD actually going in. Will get taunted, but will be safe here. Oh, no, they won't be safe. ATD going to get blown up by Dark Knight. So much damage over the top. And now the bell tower is going to land. Finally, 6 more damage, sorry, coming out from Bork Side of the Moon. Smoke and Hoku are fighting for this other altar now. Hoku trying to prevent that from getting capped. It is a little bit difficult, but they do have the number advantage. ATD is down right now, so they'll be able to get this, but it's only going to be 2 damage. They're going to bring it back to 30 to 23. 7 health lead for Bork Side of the Moon. Now Bacon's gonna use the black arrows, gonna clear out this bottom bell tower. Gonna get traded for the top one, so once again, all bell towers are not going to be under control by Bork Side of the Moon. Just most of them. But they are going to be fighting for this mid lane as well. And Cutie Puppy actually going to get taunted back after the dash. But no follow-up available. They're just trying to buy some time. And they're going to be able to clear away this mid lane. And this is the closest thing to a reset Macro Machines have been able to get themselves ever since they did start losing onto this map pressure. They're going to start bringing the team back to the bot lane. And they're going to start the push. But like I was saying over in the draft phase, this is where the power comes through for the Leoric. But now the fight coming through in the bot side. It is 4v5. but they have the extra fort. Arcane 13th just kind of autoing onto the fort as much as possible. Multi-shot going to be utilized just for a little bit of poke. Cutie Puppy actually going to get hit by the blasting sands. Rain of Vengeance not going to land on anyone. Lurking arm, but the leap in the backside. Divine Shield going to get utilized, and Hoku's getting taken out quite low. Rain of Vengeance lands on a 3, and Hoku will get healed just barely in the end. So we'll be okay, and that's actually a pretty safe win for them. They were down level 16 talents still very late into that exchange. So huge win for Macro Machines. The Sappers will land over on the top side by Smoke, and ATD going to be pushing a little bit over in this mid lane as well. Definitely won't be able to really threaten it quite yet, but it's something. They're able to get a little bit of damage for themselves. And just like that, Macro Machines have definitely reset the map for the most part. They still don't have the walls on their side, whereas the walls on the side of Bork Side of the Moon have basically been untouched. Now the 3 altars have spawned. The taunt does come through on ATD, and the Lurking Arm, and the Dragon's Breath, and the Rain of Vengeance over the corpse. But Silver Spy able to take the altar in the backside of all that. That's going to be 8 damage against Macro Machines and 4 against Bork Side of the Moon. However, this boss is going to go down, so really that's just going to get traded right back. And no one on the side of Bork Side of the Moon want to contest this, so it's going to be 22-15. And this has been a very interesting game macro-wise, because Bork Side of the Moon have maintained control, but they haven't been able to get too much damage out of it. Now 28 stacks on the Hungering Arrow. Still ready onto the Vala, so it definitely has slowed down from the first few minutes, but it's still doing quite well in that regard. Now this massive wave just going to get cleared away. None of the Sapper camps is going to land as Cutie Puppy rejoins the team. So it's 5v5 again. Toss just kind of used to scout and dismount. This Ratson's taking a little bit of poke damage from it. And the taunt actually going to come through, and the cleanse having to get utilized. The Rain of Vengeance also going to use a charge. It's not super long of a cooldown, especially since you can use 2, but has definitely been used. But Smoke and Bacon able to get themselves the top lane fort, the top lane bell tower. But however, that's going to come at the cost of the bot lane gate. Now Ratson is coming through, will have the taunt and the silence and the root coming through as well. But the stun coming through from Silver Spy onto Ratson. Not going to be able to finish off the kill, and Silver Spy trying to keep them healthy as Bacon will come back. So it is going to be 4v4 in this boss lane. And Tomb actually getting utilized on a Hoku, as it Drain Life going to get used as well. But the entire team is here now. Smoke just trying to run away, and the Rain of Vengeance and the leap at the same time, and the taunt. And they're going to be able to get the kill. But now Extra going to get utilized over top, and it's going to be traded 1-for-1. They have the healer. They have the cocoon on the Vala. They're waiting for the cooldowns, just clearing the waves. And then Arcane 13 trying to vault away, but there's just nowhere to go. Cutie Puppy going to be able to get the kill. And actually, no, Bacon will get the last hit. But that's a 2-for-1 for Bork Side of the Moon as the altar spawns. So Silver Spy going to grab that, and that's 5 damage going back. But now it's going to be 17-12. And they're starting to pressure onto a lot of different forts and a lot of different bell towers. Black arrows have been utilized to take care of the bot side. ATD just slowly but surely pushing, as well as an Anubarak can solo with a little scarabs. But they are going to immediately start rotating over to the mid lane. Black arrows are down right now, so they're not going to be able to utilize this to fully pressure them off. But with little scarabs, they will have a lot of damage available. And look at the DPS coming through from Bacon's Haunting Wave. Just needs a little bit more damage, and I think with a couple more pokes, they will be able to take this down. And they're holding on to all 6 potentially with this. Now Silver Spy is coming through, and look at the damage coming through. They're able to get it, and the silence gonna land over top. Ratson is getting hit, and they do have Dark Knight in the cocoon. Do they have any follow-up? Rain of Vengeance over top, and the Stasis is gonna get utilized. Seralath is at 300 HP. Dark Knight is on at too much more, but the Rain of Vengeance will land, but the cleanse coming through. And bit by bit, the core is getting bombed. They're at 14 HP. They need to get one of these back in their favor. And this top one is the lowest. They're looking for Smoke, but Smoke gonna be able to use the Wraith Walk to prevent any of these stuns. Life Drain coming through as well, but they have to force this down. They're at 12 HP. Hoku gonna get hit with the extra. Cutie Puppy over top is still gonna be saved. ATD just pulling away their backline. And with that, they're able to take down the Sonya. And now they're still looking. Arcane 13 is gonna get hit, and the Entomb comes through, and this is a level 20 Entomb. With the silence over on the Dark Knight. Dark Knight 200 HP will go down. Ratson gonna go down. Arcane 13 gonna get finished off. No, we'll have the heal coming out of Seraph. But the damage is still coming through. 4 HP left. They're gonna be okay here. But I do believe the game's over. The altars are up. They need any one of these. And Bacon's already ready to just DPS on Arcane 13th. But they're actually going to be able to take down Bacon. But none of this matters. Smoke will get the final altar. They'll get 2 kills back. But game 1 goes to Bork Side of the Moon. And just like that, game 1 is done. The victors, Bork Side of the Moon. Very interesting game. This is genuinely macro-wise the most interesting game I think I've ever seen. Even in one of my casts or on anyone else's. And I think that's just because Bork Side of the Moon, they had control of the map for so long. But they got quite low on their core HP. Macro Machine somehow were able to take basically every single altar in the early game and most of them in the mid game. But either way, Bork Side of the Moon, they were able to prevail. They were able to utilize that map pressure to get themselves the win. Now we're going to go to a short break. And when we come back, it's going to be game number 2. But before we go away, once again, I'd like to give a shout out to Match Masters, the sponsor of today's stream. Match Masters is a free-to-play match 3 competitive puzzle game. It's 1v1 where both sides take turns playing on the same board. And whoever gets the most matches in the end wins. Use the link in the chat to try it out for free today. Reach the goals you see in my little widget to help support the stream. Now we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, it's going to be game number 2. So don't go anywhere.
Spider Queen.
And we are back with the second draft of this series. Bork Side of the Moon versus Macro Machines. And for Bork Side of the Moon, that was their first win of the season. And they're going to try to make that into a domination against Macro Machines. But, I mean, that was a super close game. It could definitely still go either way. They were clearly evenly matched. So, now, not to give any caster bias, but, and I will say this, it's an impartial bias that I will always have. I like 3-game series. I want Macro Machines to win this game. Not because I want them to win this series, but because I want there to be a game number 3. So I will be hoping for that. But regardless, going to be a new draft and new bans coming out already. Tassadar going to get banned away by Bork Side of the Moon. And for those of you paying attention, and I did this for once, I'm usually pretty bad at it. Cutie Puppy has gone off to the sideline, and ES Cypher will be replacing Cutie Puppy for game number 2. Now, this isn't any kind of emergency change. This is just something that Bork Side of the Moon do. I think, for the most part, ES Cypher, Smoke, Cutie Puppy, and maybe Bacon, they're constantly rotating in and out. This isn't a team of 5. This is definitely a team of 6 that are constantly working together, thinking about their strategies, thinking about their maps, and playing different players based off the strengths that they need for their next game. And now the bans have come out. Zeratul actually going to get banned away on Tomb of the Spider Queen. I originally thought that ban was just because it was the Towers of Doom, but it looks like they are just worried about the Zeratul on Macro Machines. And Junkrat going to get banned away from them as well. Now, ES Cypher, last time I watched them play, they did lock in that Sergeant Hammer. So that's definitely something that will be available for them if it is a good draft for it. It is definitely one of those draft breakers where if you pick it, but there's counters, it's so hard to play. But if you pick it and there's no counters, it's so hard to lose. So going to be interesting to see if they keep that in their minds as they draft this game. Now, Joanna, going to be the first login for ATD. Is slightly nerfed, but again, still very powerful. What I am most curious about is whether people are going to start moving a little bit away from the Blinding Shield build. Because none of her other builds really got touched that much. It's just the Blinding Shield build that got nerfed. So overall, Joanna's still going to be incredibly tanky in the front line. Just maybe not going to offer quite as much of that utility. As Blaze and Taika is going to get locked in for Hoku and Dark Knight. Blaze, since it's on Hoku, I assume it's going to be in the off lane. Also got nerfed quite a bit in the last few patches, but it's still pretty strong. And that's one thing I definitely like about the HOTS Janitor. They're very good at making sure that when they nerf or buff someone, they're not making it the only hero that's viable. They make sure that they just put them in a place where they're more balanced rather than just changing the flavor of the month, so to speak. And now Bacon's going to lock in the Vala, and White Mane locked in by Silver Spine. I haven't seen a White Mane in a while, but that Scarlet Aegis, really powerful healing tool, really good as an anti-burst tool, though it does require the team to group up a little bit, which could be a worrying factor, especially with the Blaze Jet propulsion available. And now it is going to be on the next set of bans. Phoenix actually going to get banned away. I'm a little bit surprised about that, though ES Cypher did play that yesterday as well. Lots of damage coming out from that Planet Cracker and that little laser. Now one final ban coming through. Tank and healer are still available. And then potential flex DPS. So banning away the flex is always difficult unless there's something specifically you want to avoid. Junkrat's already out of the game, which is typically the biggest worry on Tomb of the Spider Queen. So I would assume this would be, yeah, a Stitches ban. I wasn't going to predict the Stitches ban. I'm not going to lie about that. But I did predict that it was going to be a tank or healer. That's as far as my strategy and draft knowledge goes. But Stitches is also a little bit of a draft breaker. And in fact, if I may say so myself, Sergeant Hammer doesn't like Stitches. Sergeant Hammer is quite good at Tuvarian and Stukov. I genuinely would not be surprised to see the Sergeant Hammer picked up here. I think it's really good. But the Stukov variant combo, still very strong. Very easy to utilize as well. It's one of the simplest combos in the entire game. But it does become a bit more complex once you start hitting those higher levels, because now it becomes a mind game. Do you use taunt immediately? Do you hold taunt a little bit? Not what I was expecting, but that's going to be a Samuro Zagara instead. That's really interesting to me, because it is a smaller map, but Samuro's just... I mean, in my opinion, I genuinely think Samuro's incredibly powerful. I think that it's very difficult to lock down a Samuro that knows how to play the hero. And Sonya's going to get locked in for the 10th pick, or Arcane 13th, so it is going to be the double bruiser, well, kind of triple bruiser. Varian is a tank with a taunt build, but still not like a full tank, so to speak. So it's going to be 3 fighters in the front line, with a Stukov and Tychus in the back line. I mean, I'm still not sure how to really talk about these drafts, because they're very different from what we normally get. But all I know is that we're going to have an exciting game number 2, and that's what I'm here for. All right. Just going to be loading into the game right now, but here we are. We are on Tomb of the Spider Queen with Macro Machines versus Bork Side of the Moon. Bork Side of the Moon leading 1-0 going into this game number 2. And they're looking to get the domination. 4 points up for grabs if they can win this. Now, for any of you that are new to the NGS, any of you that are watching that don't know how the league works, every single week, teams are going to be playing best of 3s. But the way it works is you get 1 point per win, 1 point for winning the series, and if you get a domination, you get a bonus point. So the winning team will always get 3 or 4 points, whereas the losing team will get 0 or 1, depending on the score. But now anyway, both these two teams are going to be meeting over in this mid lane. Just going to be poking away a little bit. Smoke, gonna try and get the tumors down. And that will make it a lot easier to play. Now Hoku is on the side. Sees Smoke, but the tumor gonna spot out Hoku. Force Hoku going a little bit early. But there's no taunt till later. Yes, Cypher is gonna be here, but it is just a Samuro. Not super strong, but the condemn lands on all 4 members. Then Hoku actually getting taken out quite low. The vault and the final hit coming out of Bacon will be able to get that first blood, as Bork Side of the Moon get themselves the early advantage. And it is Krita the Hunter, so it is going to be the auto attack build coming through. It's going to be Samuro versus Sonya in the bot lane. And Bacon is going to get jumped upon, but again, until level 4, not too much of a threat. But now the Condemn lands on Arcane 13. It's just going to take a little bit of poke for it, but nothing too substantial quite yet. Now Samuro is actually grouping towards the mid lane. And it does seem like Dark Knight's going to be doing the off-lane duty this game. And in fact, they're going to change the matchup and bring Smoke down to fight against the Sonya instead. Maybe they think that with the extra range will be a better matchup than Samuro, as ES Cypher is going to be grouping up into Hoku instead. And actually, ES Cypher is just kind of running across the entire map. That is where Samuro shines, moving across the map, very quick to move around. And the less you know about where he is, the harder it is to play into it. Now the Bruiser Camp is going to get started by Bacon and Silver Spy. Taking them a little bit of time, and the Unstoppable Iron Skin going to be coming through for ATD. But they will be safe. Now over in the bot side, Smoke actually taken down pretty decently low. Will be forced to tap through the well. And now the new tumor does get thrown down, but Dark Knight going to destroy it immediately, as the Bruiser Camp does get finished off by Silver Spy and Bacon. They don't seem to lose too much from it, as ATD gonna group up in the mid lane and clear that wave. And level 4 talents are now hit by Bork Side of the Moon. As CS Cypher actually gets poked decently by Arcane 13. ATD, 3 condemn, 3 blind. But out of mana, it actually gonna get taunted as level 4s do come out. Iron Skin gonna utilize here as well. ES Cypher looking for Arcane 13, and it's just poking on the back line. And Bacon's just kind of hitting whoever they can. And Arcane 13 that got decently low, but will have the will to tap with. Now they're going to get the clear over on the top side. And in fact, the Bruiser Camp not able to get too much damage on the wall, but will get some. And the gems are still pretty even on both sides. Neither side has really been able to keep the other team away from collecting the gems. Not in any significant way anyway. So it is quite even in that regard. Now Smoke just poking onto Dark Knight. Dark Knight did go with the armor talent. This is definitely good when you're playing a lane against a ranged opponent. But Bacon is going to be starting onto the siege camp. And they do send 3 members over towards this bot side. Hoku going to be grouping up as well. But it's still going to be 3v2 in this situation. They do have the push over on the top side, and they have control over towards this top side. But I don't know if they're going to be able to push this in. But now Hoku trying to fight for this. But Bacon's ready to fight. They do have the numbers. It's 4 on 2 now. And Hoku getting body blocked as well. And ATD trying to get the play. And there's going to be another kill for Bork Side of the Moon. They had the numbers and they utilized it quite well. And that's actually going to be a pretty massive chunk of gems lost. They did manage to turn in 11 during that play, but losing Hoku, losing anyone that's kind of had a lane to themselves, that's where you're going to lose the majority of your gems. A very good pickup for Bork Side of the Moon. Now they have finished off this bot side wall and do have their level 7 talents. So decent power spike coming out for Bork Side of the Moon. But it doesn't seem like they can really play it. They do have enough gems for turn-in right now. Silver Spy just helping with that 1 gem. But Smoke holding on to 12. That's where the majority... that and the 18 that ES Cypher hold of their gems are currently being stored at. Now they're going to push out this mid wave. And the first tick for Creed of the Hunter has been hit by Bacon. So that's going to be an extra % damage with every stack of Hatred. And Smoke gonna turn in the 12. And that's going to be the red web weaver spawning. ATD gonna be able to get the condemn on it too. And now Ratsing taking down quite low. Same with Dark Knight. So much damage coming out over top. And now they're going to have to back away. They're not going to be able to defend this quite as well. Dark Knight will need to do a full reset. No tap available. As the mid lane wall is going to get taken down as well. And in the meanwhile, Smoke and ES Cypher just shoving out that top lane together. However, Ratson is here, and they're going to get the taunt on a Smoke and the Lurking Arm, and that's going to be a good pick. Macro Machines able to get something going for themselves in the meanwhile. And getting even that little bit of a pick, it's really going to lower the amount of pressure coming out of the red web weavers. But the mid lane one's going to get taken down pretty easily, especially with the help of that Bruiser camp. But ATD trying to delay their rotation to the bot side, as ES Cypher is already here with the Web Weaver and just hitting onto this fort. It's not going to be able to deal too much damage quite yet. It is quite the early game, so the Web Weavers are weaker right now than they will be later on. But with that extra pressure from the bot lane Web Weaver, they're able to finish off the wall in the mid lane. Lurking Arm going to get utilized, but ATD not going to be getting caught into it. As Hoku with the jet propulsion not going to land onto anyone. ES Cypher going to be able to just jump away safely. But they have been able to clear away the walls basically in all 3 lanes. Just a little bit here. This one doesn't count. This one's just for decoration right now. But however, the difference right now is Macro Machines do have enough for turn-in. And if they send too many people towards their Bruiser camp, yep, it seems they did kind of a halfway play where they weren't sure whether they should come back or not. Because of that, they don't get the Bruiser camp, and they do lose the Web Weavers. So how much can they get on the side of Macro Machines for this? Now Hoku's going to get a decent chunk of damage dealt to them. ES Cypher going to use the Blade Storm just to clear the wave. And the Web Weavers are now spawning. They do have pretty good range on all their heroes. Smoke should be able to clear out this bottom one pretty safely. Especially with this new tumor getting laid down. But the real push is going to be coming out of mid lane. There's going to be all 5 members actually grouping. And Commandeer Odin going to get utilized as well. So the Odin going to get thrown out with the little nuke as well. And Arcane 13 is just doing a lot of damage. Condemn lands onto 3. But ATD is actually getting quite low there. Will have to back away, but the mid lane wall is down, and they're going to keep pushing. They have the taunt onto ATD, and Unstoppable going to get utilized. Silence as well with the Lurking Arm, but we'll be able to just walk away. Now Bacon just auto-attack over top. Rain of Vengeance going to land onto 2. The Odin is now expired. Extendo Arm used by Seralith. And they will be able to clear this away, but that's a lot of damage done to their fort. All 3 Web Weavers are now gone. Asumuro pushes out the top wave just a little bit. A little bit of little pokes going towards the other forts, but again, nothing too substantial. Macro Machines definitely on the winning side of that. However, they do not have the walls everywhere. They decided to just pressure the mid wave and send everything into that basket. But Hoku getting taken down decently low by ES Cypher. Could be looking for the play here, but ES Cypher also gets taken down quite low during all of that. will be able to reset and even turn in 19 more gems. Smoke trying to run away, and they do have the Devouring Maw, but it is only on the tank. ATD looking for the play on Arcane 13. Extended Worm going to get utilized under Silver Spy, but that's not the target you want. Unstoppable going to get utilized. ATD still taking some damage, and Bacon just vaulting into the enemy, knowing that there's no cooldowns. Able to just kind of get a lot of damage going. And, okay, Bacon, I'm sorry, but that was a little bit iffy. But still, got away with it, dealt a little bit of extra damage. And they do back away, but another Condemn coming through. Blessed Shield is available if they want to start looking for a play. Is Hoku going to get poked a little bit more? Dark Knight looking to prevent ES Cypher, but it's hard to tell where the real Samuro is, and Samuro can change where the real Samuro is. But now ATD is going to get jumped upon, has the Iron Skin, but the Gen Propulsion isn't going to land, so with that they'll be okay. In the meanwhile, Bacon has started onto this camp. And both sides have enough for turn-in. But it looks like the side of Macro Machines have the better positioning for it. ATD gonna be able to prevent 13 more gems. They will need more than that anyway, but Hoku definitely trying to get it in. Smoke very low on mana, but still has good health, still has good positioning, so is still gonna be somewhat of a threat in the fights, just perhaps less than normal. But now ESIfer once again gets the pressure on the top side, and Hoku gonna try turning in 14, and Dark Knight has 16. So this could be the next set of Web Weavers, and it looks like it will be, but there might be a fight breaking out over in the bot side instead. Ratson will be able to just walk away, so no, just a free set of Web Weavers for them. The Bruiser Camp will slow down the mid-wave push, but I think with the Web Weaver and the fact that the fort is at a whopping 381 HP, it's not going to last too long, but they did manage to get a kill over the bot side. I apologize for missing that. But that's going to be the Stukov down, and that's going to help a lot with their defense of this, and perhaps they will be able to defend it, especially if they use the Blessed Shield onto Arcane 13th. Gonna get taken down. So that's going to be a second kill going in favor of Bork Side of the Moon. And yeah, they're just going to be able to keep this fort alive. These Web Weavers aren't going to be able to accomplish anything. Definitely not on the bot side. They have been able to take it down, and they're actually going to be pushing, even though the enemy does have Web Weavers pushing into them on opposite lanes. Now Bacon gonna vault, just trying to auto attack as much as possible. Already at 105 stacks. So dealing so much damage with those autos. Those hatred stacks have plus 2% per stack now, up to 20% at max stacks. Smoke has been able to clear away the bot side as well. And now they do have enough gems to turn in, but do they have the pressure? And the taunt does come through on a Smoke, and Smoke will go down. Ratson is in the Devouring Maw, but no follow-up available. Bacon's just going to auto-attack a little bit for the stacks, but that's really all that's going to happen here. They did lose some gems from that, but they do still have enough for turn-in. Macro Machines are definitely weary of that, and it's 4v5, so it would be a little bit dangerous for Bork Side of the Moon to start playing that aggressively. But they are looking for potential angles, and in fact, Ratson was looking for that top side. ATD taking a little bit of damage. The Iron Skin will come out, and with the blind should be okay. The taunt not going to come out until now, but the cleanse is out from Silver Spy, so ATD will be okay. And now the Commandeer Odin going to get utilized. The Blessed Shield over top, but they're aiming towards Seralith. Seralith just needs a little bit more damage, but it's not going to happen. Crimson Age is going to come through. Silver Spy just trying to back away. Is taunted and is going to get blown up by the Tychus. Arcane 13 coming through, but the Condemn is more than enough damage for the kill. And now Bacon trying to trade, but they don't have a healer. One side doesn't have a healer, the other side doesn't have a tank, but now neither side has a healer as ATD able to solo the Stukov in the backline. And now Arcane 13 is the one taking a lot of damage. ATD trying to walk forward, but the leap gonna get utilized, stunning ATD underneath the fort. With that, there's more than enough damage. Bacon just trying to auto attack a little bit, but that was a 4v5, by the way. ES Cypher got the top lane fort during all of that. So you definitely take that as a win for Bork Side of the Moon. Level 16s are in their favor, so that definitely could have been a major reason why. That and also having the initial pick being on their side. But now the ES Cypher going to start grouping towards mid, going to try getting a little bit of damage onto this mid lane fort. And that's definitely going to give a decent amount of pressure into Macro Machines. And Bacon's Silver Spy look like they're duoing the boss. And I definitely would not be expecting this on the side of Macro Machines, but they're able to hit it. Dark Knight going to be able to turn in 35. Not enough to spawn the Web Weavers as the Bruiser Camp goes down. And I think this sneak is going to work. They are going to start the turn in towards the boss side, but no, they don't even have the gems. Hoku going to be walking up now. ES Cypher just kind of preventing it. Just trying to be a pain. I don't think they're even trying to win a fight, but ATD going to get stunned, and the leap, and the lurking arm over top. They will get a kill back, but the boss is going to get taken down anyway. But the question is, what can Macro Machines do with this? They do have the extra kill. They do have enough gems for turn-in, but actually it doesn't matter because the red web weavers are going to be spawning here, so you will definitely take that for Bork Side of the Moon. Yes, you lose your tank. It's going to be a little bit harder to push here, but smoke on the backside and another win for Bork Side of the Moon. But Dark Knight going to be fighting, but the Devouring Maw was there in time, so Smoke will be able to mount up and get away. The mid lane fort is going to be taken down as well, so all 3 forts are gone. The boss has been cleared, but a decent bit of damage over to the top lane wall has already been dealt. Now the Blade Storm is going to get utilized just to poke, but the taunt is coming through, and the silence. And they're going to be able to burn down ES Cypher. So big pick off once again for Macro Machines. And that's exactly what you want to do on this team comp. When you have the Stukov variant, you're just constantly looking for picks. And they've been able to get it. And they've even shown they can blow up ATD if ATD gets caught out alone. They are starting to group top, but it is 4v5. No ES Cypher available. As the little bit of the wall does go down, they're able to get the first cannon tower and a little bit of extra damage onto this gate. And in fact, the gate's going to go down as well. No XP reward for that one. But that's still going to be pressure that's going to help them later on in this game. Now Retson is walking forward, trying to get pressure and maybe even a pickoff onto Silver Spy immediately. And they're able to get so much damage and the leap over top. Just so much crowd control. Silver Spy never able to get the Crimson Angels off. ATD just trying to run away as well. But now Smoke is kind of caught on the bot side. And that seems to be where there's going to be the next push. And they don't even need the next taunt. The Devouring Maw does get thrown out. It doesn't land on anyone. Hoku taking a little bit of damage. But now the pullback. Hoku going to go into the bunker. And Arcane 13th using the overpower over the top. And Bacon so low. But will be able to regen back to full HP. With the reset into the base. They're going to steal the Bruiser Camp, and they have more than enough gems for a turn-in if they want it. But they're just going to grab the camp for now. And that's a very good pick. Being able to take down Silver Spy, being able to take down the healer of Bork Side of the Moon, that definitely opens up the map for them. And they're going to have another set of Web Weavers coming right now. As Seralath turns in the last needed gems. And Commandeer Odin going to get utilized immediately. So they're going to be pushing onto this top fort before anything even spawns. They're working exclusively to burn down this fort. Now a couple more hits with the big red button. I believe the big red button only comes through at level 20, but it's still the same ability. Close enough. They will be able to take down the top fort. It doesn't seem like they'll be able to do too much else. But they do have a Web Weaver kind of stuck in Narnia. And the one in the mid lane is getting cleared out by ES Cypher and the entire squad of Bork Side of the Moon. No one's there to push in the bot lane. I assume that's where both teams are going to start rotating to once this mid lane one gets taken down. But this top lane Web Weaver is slowly pushing in, so it is something to be not concerned about, but something to keep in mind. Now ES Cypher just going to use the Blade Storm. Clear the wave as much as possible. Not going to be able to pick up the gems though. It's only 3 gems, so it's not the biggest deal. And in fact, ATD will be able to pick up 2 of them. But now over on the top side, this is what I was talking about. So they didn't have to deal with it before, but they do have to go deal with it now. ES Cypher is rotating up. Gonna be able to finish off the last of that Web Weaver. Now ATD gonna mount up and immediately gonna get canceled, but no pullback quite yet. The leap gonna utilize, but the Iron Skin is there in time. But now the Lurking Arm and the Blessed Shield lands on all 5. The Devouring Maw lands onto 2, and that will get rid of their main DPS. So now Hoku trying to play on the front line. They do have the bonus healing, and Bacon's just auto-tagging over top. But there's no more engage tools from either of these 2 teams. They're just walking forward. Bacon just trying to DPS over top, and Arcane 13th is taking a good chunk of damage. Bacon able to get that little bit of pressure. The Bruiser Camp is up if they want to go for the steal, but it looks like they are caring more about pushing for this wall. Now the Condemned just going to land on the 2, but Bacon goes in, and Bacon, I don't think he can do that. The silence does come out and will be okay. Commandeer Odin gets utilized, and Bacon at 50 HP. Silver Spy will have the heal coming out in time. They do have the blind onto all the members. And Commandeer Odin was utilized during that. ES Cypher looking for the play, but the jet propulsion lands onto 2, and the leap is back up. So Dark Knight able to land onto the back line. And that's going to be 2 kills going in favor of Macro Machines as they're pushing towards the mid lane. Now, the grenade does have a little bit of extra HP, but the blind is going to help a lot. Bacon just trying to deal damage, just trying to slow down this as much as possible. And the Blessed Shield once again lands on all 5 members. And that definitely will buy them a little bit of time for this defense. But only a little bit, and they're gone for 40 seconds. They're still looking for the push. ESF just kind of trying to poke them on the backside. The taunt does land on ATD. Will have the Iron Skin. Jet Propulsion will go wide. And Bacon just auto-attacking over the top. But with the healing, with all 5 members there, they're going to be okay. And they're going to be able to take down this keep for sure. But can they get anything else? They don't have a wave. Vanilla Cypher is going to be clearing that wave. So I do think going for the end of the game will be difficult, but they're going to try. They're pushing forward right now. ATD going to get the blind on all 4 members. And the condemn on to another 4. The blinds are still there, just trying to buy as much time as possible. Smoke's going to be back in 1 second. The lead gets dodged by Bacon. And now they're fighting. They're hitting onto this bunker. The bunker is going to go down. And now the Devouring Maw lands onto 2. They're not going to be able to end the game, but can they get away? That's the next challenge for them. Now Ratson is going to be protected, but will get pulled back with a condemn. Will go down. Hoku gets finished off, and the Blessed Shield lands onto the 3 in the back line. Argon 13th gone. Seraph gone. Dark Knight, last one alive, trying to get away, trying to delay. And the Devouring Maw will hit, but that might even be good for Dark Knight because they're just trying to delay for time. But there's 50-second death timers. There is a wave in the bot lane. Could they try to end now? They are on the wrong side of the map, and they don't have any open lane. But this could be it. This could be the domination. They're definitely trying for it. They're running straight to the bot lane. But their wall is quite healthy here as well. I don't think they'll be able to end the game off of this, but they should definitely be able to get themselves the keep and then come back and maybe get themselves the boss or something. But now they're hitting onto the keep. They're just going right past the wall. No, you know what? I think they do have enough time. Because they will finish off this keep, and now the core is available. They're going to just go straight towards it and just start auto-attacking onto it. They're able to spawn a lot of little Zerglings because of smoke. And yeah, I think that's it. They're going to get the domination. Bork Side of the Moon, with that excellent defense, able to bring it back and win the series 2-0. And with that, that will be the final game of the night. An incredible victory once again for Bork Side of the Moon. And it's really interesting just how close these games were. Every single game I've watched from Bork Side of the Moon, because I did cast them yesterday, they were so neck and neck. But they went 0-2 yesterday, but 2-0 today. And they're going to get themselves that 4 points and be tied over at the top of the standings. Macro Machines, they played a fantastic game, and that game was super close. They overextended just a little bit too much trying to end the game there. But it was still close, and it's still early season. If they're able to fix these hiccups, these are both going to be very solid and strong teams. I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of B West right now. Every single series has been really close, and that's what I love seeing in HOTS. But now with that, that was our last series of the day. Once again, I would like to give a shout out to Matchmasters for spawning the stream. Link is still in the chat. It's down in the panels. Exclamation Masters if you need it again. Huge thank you for sponsoring this stream. I'm going to find someone to raid, and then we're just going to call it a night, you know? Looks like Sonar Fungus is streaming, so let's send it over to her. So once again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow as I do try to cast every single day. Have a good night.